Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com, coming back to you with another live show. Today, we are here with another fantastic reseller, my buddy Vinny. We haven't connected probably since 2016 during the green room. We met up in person, and I believe you went out thrifting with us and dinner and everything, right? You had the whole
Oh, yeah.
experience. So
Yes, it did.
sometimes I forget that when you have a YouTube channel, you always have like hundreds of people messaging you. You know how it is. Like people reach out to you and like, I recognize the avatars, but then when you came out, I was like, oh man, like we've met before. We know each other. So um,
Yeah.
I'm excited to be talking with Vinny. Vinny has been reselling for about 10 years, learned a lot from his dad. He started with eBay, also grew on to selling on Amazon. Really was into a lot of antiques and vintage and different things like that. Hence his YouTube name, which is what? Vintage Vinny?
Yep.
Link down below to Vinny's YouTube channel. But today I really just want to, catch up with Vinny. I want to hear about what he's been doing over the last 5 or 6 years since we first connected. I want to hear about what Vinny's been up to in his eBay business, Amazon business, what's working, what's not working. And hopefully we can all come together and learn and grow and continue building our business. So Vinny, welcome to the channel, man. How you feeling?
Well, thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it, and I am doing very, very well. Thank you.
Awesome. So let's talk to the people about how you got started. How did you get started reselling? How did you find out about this crazy world that a lot of people don't even know exists?
Well, I mean, like you said, Dad's been selling on eBay since eBay's been a thing. So we're the same age, eBay and I. So I watched him, over time, taking pictures of things, listing them on the internet, shipping them, getting money orders when that was a thing.
I
So it
remember
was
that.
normal. I remember too, checks coming in the mail, cash coming in the mail before PayPal. Thank God for PayPal.
Imagine running the type of business we're running now. Like I don't run a big eBay business. I'm more on Amazon. But imagine doing like $5,000 to $10,000 a month in sales, like back in like 2000 and when was the money order thing going on? When did that end?
I I don't remember. It's been so
2004,
long.
5, 2007. I mean, this whole new world of technology and payment processors, like this isn't that old.
No, it shouldn't be, but it is.
But I mean, it's crazy. And just to go off on a little tangent, we really got to be grateful for what eBay and Amazon has provided us now. Because back then, again, with the money orders and everything like that, what was that like were you like a big seller or were you like a part-time seller when the whole money order thing was going on?
I wasn't even selling at that time.
Oh, you weren't selling, so you're probably buying.
Yeah, I mean, I was a collector of things in my childhood, and then, that's why Dad was taking us to all the markets and the thrift stores and stuff like that. He was buying the stuff to resell, I was buying the stuff for myself because it wasn't something I was interested in at the time.
So how did you get into actually reselling? Obviously, your dad, kind of got you into things a little bit, but how did you really start to take this on and kind of share some context? Do you have a job? Are you a full-time reseller? Like what's the context so we know?
Well, in the past, it was like, okay, I can go somewhere, get something for just a little bit, and then maybe flip it for a lot more than what I paid. But also because, at that time I didn't have a lot of dinero. So it's like, okay, if I can find some stuff, invest it, and then make a little bit more, and then, cycle through instead
Yeah.
of just waiting for mom and dad to give me money at the time. I was like, why not?
Yeah, I remember when I first started, Vinny, I mean, I was completely dead broke. What were you selling at first? Because I started with bicycles on Craigslist. And I mean, I was just amazed. Like, I remember the first time I bought two bicycles, they were specialized, I think they were called Hard Rocks, and they were mountain bikes. And I was watching Bonafide Hustlers videos, and he's this big Asian jack dude flipping stuff. He seems so cool. I'm like, wow, this guy's a celebrity. He had 200 subscribers at the time. And I'm like, I'm going to do what he's doing. And I remember flipping my first bikes, and I mean, I bought them for 25 bucks each and ended up selling them for I think 150 or 125 each. That feeling, man, like
Oh yeah.
it was never the same. What was your story? Like how obviously you love to like find things cheap and flip it high, but what were the first couple items that you had flipped and whatnot? And how'd you kind of like get hooked in this game of reselling?
Oh God. It's been so long. I don't even remember what my first items were, but it's just like any little vintage trinket, like a figurine or something that looked interesting or whatnot, something that looked collectible to me.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what are you primarily selling now? Like, talk to everybody a little bit about your business. What does it look like? I mean, you don't have to share exact numbers, whatever you're comfortable with, but what does your business look like? What types of items are you buying? Are you full-time, part-time?
Well, I buy whatever I can find that is worth it. With YouTube live sales, a newer trend in selling, it's more of like, what people want to buy directly from you versus having to go through eBay, pay the fees, whatever. But, dad also taught me, look at everything. Don't just stick to clothing. Don't stick to knickknacks. Don't stick to shoes. Just look at everything because there's profit in every little niche.
Yeah, a lot of people get stuck in. I'm actually interested in what your thoughts are on this because a lot of people get stuck with just a specific niche. And I think it's great to be a master of a niche. But I also know that, like you said, Vinny, there's so much money in every little nook and cranny of a garage sale, auction, thrift store. I mean, your dad is right. But at what point is it best to just like kind of dabble in everything versus like when I started, right? When you started following me on YouTube, all I did was pretty much clothes. Now things are different, but what are the pros and cons of like just being a master of one and just dominating it and going deep in it versus dabbling in a lot of different things?
I think maybe part of it is when you go into a shop anticipating on finding something really good, like say clothing, for example, you go in and then you find out you're looking at a bunch of Walmart t-shirts or something instead of the polos or, so that's a thumbs down for you. But if you say, okay, I'm going to go look in clothing, let me go look in the toys, let me go look in electronics, let me look in the knickknacks and such, you're opening up more opportunities to make money. And plus you're broadening your horizons. So sticking to one thing and having a knowledge of it is great, but broaden that.
Yeah, I always say when you first start, become a master of one thing, become really good at clothing and become very good at toys. But over time, you really do want to build that catalog of knowledge because you're right. I mean, sometimes the clothing stinks or sometimes the market changes, man. Where are you from,
Yeah.
Vinny?
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay, my brother lives out there. I'm in Connecticut, and I don't know the market very well in Maryland, but man, I remember in Connecticut back when I started making videos back in the green room days, I would find polos for $2.99, $3.99. If it said $5.99, I was like, "These son of a guns! This is terrible! Like you guys are pricing like butt munchers." Now, if I see $5.99, that's a freaking miracle.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll put polos at $14.99, $19.99. I mean, sometimes I walk into Savers and I think I'm literally at the Ralph Lauren Polo retail store, not even the outlet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you said, I think it's really smart to become knowledgeable in a lot of different items because the market could change, the competition could come in. My best buddy, he's been on my channel a lot. His name's Vinny. That's why I was like, man, I'm never gonna forget your name. He's he's a toy seller. I call him Vinny the Toy Master. And if you're only selling toys and the Toy Master was in there 20 minutes before you, you're probably not going to find very much.
No.
So how do you, I mean, what would you say are your top categories? If you walk into a thrift store, like I always like to ask people this, what are you going after first? Like me, I always go after the DVDs first. What do you always go after first?
I look at all the tchotchkes and the figurines first, and then I gradually move over to housewares and then the toys and such. And I've newly kind of started getting into glassware, but not diving in too much of it.
What is a Chotsky?
Look at tchotchke, if I said that wrong. Like, another nickname for a knickknack is a tchotchke.
I never heard. Leave a comment, everybody, and let me know if I'm the only person who hasn't heard of that. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't mess a lot with the household glassware, even the vintage collectible stuff. It's just amazing how like what so why do you like that area the most? Do you feel like there's just a lot of hidden gems in there?
Well, yes and no, but it's also a tie to my past. Like my grandmother and my grandfather were antique dealers, quote unquote, back in the
Oh,
70s. So, that's where I got that passion from. And once she passed in 2011, it just was like, okay, I need to I need to continue this. And I became obsessed.
So
And I think I'm a little too obsessed now.
how so?
I have a lot of stuff for both me and for the business.
So how do you separate? How do you draw that line, Vinny, between buying, my best friend Vinny as well, he got into it because of his dad. His dad was a collector. And I've found that the issue with a lot of collectors is they kind of ride the thin line between being a collector, hoarder / a reseller. And it's very hard. Very often they'll both find items that are profitable. And in my head, Vinny, when I find an item that's profitable, the first thing I think is like, when can I get this thing listed and make some money? But in a collector's eyes, it's like, I can't let this thing go. So for anyone watching who's a collector / hobbyist / hoarder, we won't admit that. But how do you get over that, man? Because you have this connection from your childhood and everything.
Well, one of the things that I do when I'm out looking for stuff, be vintage or whatever the case may be, I say, oh, that's really cool. I'm really happy to be able to pick this up. But then, I bring it home and it sits for a while. And then I'm like, oh, that was really cool to find, but it's not something I really want. So I sell it. But there are certain things I'm like, I'm going to hold on to for a little bit and then I'll part with them. So, but if there's something that I really, really want, I try to find some things to make up for it and pay for it,
What part of the thrift store would you say, and I'm just using thrift stores as the example because it's the easiest way for anyone to get into it. What part of the thrift store would you recommend someone who's completely brand new take a look in, maybe learn about these different items if they've never resold or maybe they're really new? What's up, Tanya? What's up, NC Treasure? Is there any area that you feel like is maybe beginner friendly, but also isn't, super saturated, or like there's opportunities there?
Probably the toy section, I would say. There's always things getting mixed in that even the people at the thrift store don't even know about, like My Little Pony or, pieces to games that are, things like that. There's always something that somebody needs out there that they're not able to get their hands on locally. So they'll turn to the internet to find it. And that's a winner for you.
Yeah, I'm not the most educated with toys. My buddy Vinny, I keep mentioning, I mean, he is just a stone cold killer when it comes to toys. And I really credit a lot of people who sell toys. I mean, similar to clothing sellers are very, very knowledgeable resellers. Clothing's a large category, and it's the same with toys. Toys is a very large category, and you have to know your brands, but you also have to know the particular things within a brand of what's profitable. So let me ask you, when you come across a toy or maybe even any item at the thrift store, how are you playing it out in your mind, Vinny, in terms of if you're going to buy something and resell it? We're not talking collecting or, oh, it's cool, I'm just going to hold on to it because I have sentimental value. It has value to me in that sort. But when you're going to find something to resell, how are you comping it? How are you playing it out in your mind? Are you analyzing how long it's going to take to sell? Like, what's the psychology of vintage Vinny when he comes across an item?
Well, one of the things that I do at the thrifts is I make my rounds. I grab whatever I think is interesting, unique, or might have some value to it. So that way I'm not coming back to it or someone else takes it before I'm able to do a look up on it. So I grab everything that I possibly can. If it's not going to a live sale, if I'm looking to sell it on a platform, whether eBay or Amazon, I always do my research first before I decide I'm going to purchase it. And if it's not worth my time to sell on eBay or Amazon, or if I don't think I can do well with it at a live sale, I put it back. So I thin out my herd and then take whatever is probably worth more of my time to sell than, stuff that's not worth my time.
So how do you analyze it though? Like, how are you going through the process of figuring out the value, how long it's going to sell, the risk and reward of what you're paying versus determining the profit after shipping? Let's dive a little deeper into that.
Okay. So, I look up the comps. Like, let's say I find like a piece of glass, like a candy dish or something that's made by some or old company that's out of business. I'll try to find the pattern for it, see if I can find it on eBay, see how many have sold or how many have sold recently. And if they're not doing so hot, then I'm like, okay, this wasn't meant to be, put it back.
So you're just pretty much comping it out. You're trying to find a similar item. So with a piece of glassware, you want it to be somewhat like you want it to almost be identical in a sense, right? And you want to find out
Right.
what that's selling for. Now, in terms of sell-through rate, if it only sold maybe once in 90 days, are you going after that?
No, definitely not.
What do you like to see? Like, how often do you like to see your items selling in the comps?
Well, I'd like to see at least, 4 or 5 or even 6, depending on like what the price is. And because one thing that does affect the sale of an item is how much the shipping is, because some people don't know what they're doing in regards to that. So something that is,
And you really have to get creative now. You have to know all your boxes, your regional boxes, your flat rates, and you have to understand too. I mean, especially first class mail. I mean, what's the cheapest you can ship first class mail now? Like, I don't think you can even ship it for less than $3 anymore. Remember, it was like always less than like 350. Now it's like first
Mhm.
class mail could be up to like 6.
Yeah. Well, because they upped it, didn't they? It's now like a pound or less you can ship first class. So it
Yeah,
could be like even 7 something now.
that's crazy. Yeah, I'm
I know.
actually. I was in the middle of analyzing this big deal. There was a guy who had 5,000 ink cartridges he wanted to sell me. And I mean, it's just really hard to put this deal together because it's a really good deal at what he offered, but the shipping just crushes it, man. Like the
It
shipping
really
is,
does.
yeah, it's tough. So you definitely got to know your numbers, guys, when you're going to analyze an item. Like the profit is important. But Vinny, I mean, you could have an item that's making you $80 profit, but if it hasn't sold in the last 6 months, I mean, you're not going to probably pick it up, right? You know, like too many
Yeah.
people have eBay stores. I get a lot of messages from people and they want me to check their eBay store, and it's like full of stuff that doesn't sell, and it's like cheap,
Hmm.
like stuff selling for like $5 or $6, and it doesn't have a market, and it's like you're just creating a lot of work for yourself for no money. Like you really want to be like, I would rather be like, and I'm curious your thoughts. Like, are you like more patient with what you buy? Like, would you rather buy 10 items that make $2 or like wait out to find an item that makes you like 30 or 40?
Wait out on an item that'll make me 30 or 40, honestly, because it's less stuff to store and I want to sell the stuff. I'm not looking to buy it just to, let it sit in a storage room. I want to move it and make some cashish.
Heck yeah, man. I want to make some cashish as well. You know, there's a lot of money out there. What would you say is the biggest thing? Like, do you have friends or family, or like, do you see people on your YouTube channel who want to start, but they don't? Like, do you come across that at all? Like people who like want to do this, but they just can't seem to get started?
A little bit, yes and no. With how the pandemic is and with the live sales, a lot of people are wanting to do that now. And of course, it's harder with a bunch of people doing it. In regards to eBay and Amazon, I've had some people message me saying, "Hey, how do I do this?" and such. And it's really hard to, tell someone how to do it versus like I need to see how to do something. So it's best if I'm showing you in person how to do something versus, just sending you messages over the internet of how to do this.
Yeah, I know. There's only so much you can learn from videos and courses or just a phone call, like being in person. And I'm hoping things get back to normal soon because I used to run a Connecticut thrifting meetup and we'd get up with 20, 30, 40 people. And it's fun. I mean, I know you did it in Austin, Texas for the Green Room event, but do you go out regularly reselling with other resellers? Or are you more of like a solopreneur?
I do it solo. I have a friend who works at an antique store, and sometimes I go antiquing with her. But most of the time, it's just me. And honestly, I like that because I can be at my own pace. I'm not waiting up on someone else. I can just go
Yeah.
through the store, find what I want, pay for it, and leave and move on to the next place.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on people who, it's funny. There's this guy, this kid, actually, he's young. He's got to be, I don't know. He looks like he's like early 20s. He's a clothing seller. And I don't know if he still does this, but literally every single time, Vinny, I go to my Savers thrift store, this kid is there all day long. Nice kid. I like him. But he's there all day long, just waiting for the new clothing recs to come out. I don't know if he's doing things differently nowadays. Again, but he sits at the thrift store all day long. Like, what are your thoughts on like the pros and cons of just waiting for new inventory to come out at your local thrift store all day long, or like jumping to the 3 or 4 or 5 thrift stores within your 5, 10, 15 mile radius?
Well, it really depends. Like, if it's the Goodwill bins, I can understand that. And plus, I'm sure people could spend like a whole day there.
Yeah.
But in regards to like thrift stores here, before COVID, I was going every week finding stuff. And so, I'd see some of the same things I saw last week on top of new stuff. But since, the pandemic, I haven't been to any of my thrifts in 3 months. I've been sticking to the antique malls and such. But anywho, I would definitely say, you should know what stores get the best things and, stick to those places. But check out the places that you don't really find a lot too, because sometimes you can find that one thing that's, worth your time to purchase to sell. So I
Yeah.
say stick to what you know, but at the same time, go to places that you may not find a lot because you might surprise yourself. Don't stay in one place just for the fact that, oh, they get the best stuff here. 'Cause you never know. Someone else might be at another store finding something way better than what you're finding at the store you're at currently.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys are enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit that like button and look at the first link in
Coming
the
up, folks.
description. Yep. Thank you, Vinny. Look in the first link in the description. We put Vinny's YouTube channel as well. So, I really want to support the community and support people like Vinny who are putting out good content, who are reselling. So, we could all learn from each other. There's so many special skills and gifts that we all have to offer. So, I always recommend people start your own YouTube channel. It's really valuable to network. And again, there's always so much to learn. Now, speaking of learning, there's something I want to learn from you because you mentioned it during the pre-show and you mentioned it a few times and we just kind of glazed over it. You keep mentioning these YouTube lives. What is going on here with these YouTube lives and selling items? Like, how does this work? What in the world are you doing? Because I've been starting to hear about this, but I don't know anything about it.
So basically what you do, and this, again, for those of you who don't know, the live sales, live auctions, whatever you'd like to call them, started during the early days of the pandemic where we couldn't go out and shop and find stuff. And it kind of gave people a little bit of a fix of getting something that they weren't able to go out and get themselves. So let me see if I have anything random here. So let's say I'm selling this. This is one thing I'll be offering Saturday. It's just like a basic pottery swan planter. So what you do is you describe it, maybe say who it's made by and such. And then for me, I write down the price of the item and the number. And the first person who comments the number in the chat will win it. And then I bill you through PayPal through an invoice. And then once you pay me, I ship it out.
Now, I'm curious logistically. I mean, it seems like a lot of work, but I could see it being worthwhile. But like, let's put that aside. Like, how do you get the people, like before the auction, does everybody have to give you like their PayPal and like they get like you have a spreadsheet with like the PayPal address associated with like their username and like, do you mind sharing a little bit of the logistics for anyone who wants to do them or participate?
Well, for me, because my channel doesn't really like drive like hundreds of people at once. I can get like maybe just over over 100 people to show up at mine. So I don't really require that, only if you purchase something. One tool that I really suggest using for the live sales is Pirate Ship. You get really good discounts with shipping, as well as it stores the customer's information in it. So like, let's say you bought something from me and, I type in your address and they have a section for your email too. So when I put in the customer's information, if they buy something from me again and I forget their email, but I know their name, I type in their name into Pirate Ship, just look for the correct name, and then the email will pop up. All the information is stored there. So I can send the invoice that way because I have all their info stored into Pirate Ship, which is a great tool.
Good tip right there. What percentage of people don't actually pay you? Like they'll bid on items?
Well, let me knock on wood here because it's not.
I'll give you some wood knocking too.
But I'm very fortunate that most of my buyers and people who claim items do pay me.
Well, that's good. It's good
Yes.
to get paid.
Yes.
Don't we all love selling an item on eBay and then they don't pay?
Well, that's the worst.
Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe over the next few years, there could be some softwares that come out. I heard there's have you ever heard of Galaxy?
I haven't.
Supposedly it's out of the UK and I think it's coming to the United States, or it might have already. I'm not sure, but it's like a service or a business or some type of platform where, how you're going live on YouTube and then you're having to collect their PayPal, hoping they pay, so on and so forth. Supposedly this is like live auctions where all the information's integrated, and like once they bid, like the payment automatically goes through or something. I can't find it. I tried to look it up, and all that comes up is Galaxy phones. But I I love the idea of what you're doing. Like, I think it's fantastic, and I think it would be so fun to. When's your next auction? Because I want to go.
It's this Saturday or tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Oh man, so I already know that Vinny's going to be inside, and he ain't going anywhere. And for anyone on the East Coast knows why, because we're about to be getting hit by a blizzard. So
Not again.
yeah, tomorrow is going to be an absolute massacre for Maryland, for Jersey, New York, Connecticut. You know, the news likes to blow it out of proportion. So, you know, it could be 20 inches or it could be a half an inch. We'll see what happens. But that's cool. So 6 p.m. Eastern on the Vintage Vinny YouTube channel.
Yep.
Oh, man, that's going to be fun. How many items are you going to be auctioning?
Probably 20.
20. Is it all like glassware, collectible type stuff?
Little tchotchkes. Like, there goes the word again. Like knickknacks, just like vintage, fun vintage knick-knacky type stuff.
Somebody mentioned whatnot is similar to that. I want to write that down. Justin, what is whatnot? I think it's fascinating. I think it's really, really cool. And I think that's important, not to go off on a tangent, but I will. I think it's important to source creatively. I feel like the people who are most successful as resellers are creative, or they find something that just works, right? We've all heard the term, you know, honey hole. And, you know, sometimes you find a thrift store honey hole and you keep going into getting that honey. But other times you have to be creative and go to a live auction like Vintage Vinny's. I mean, maybe he's going to list something up that falls between the cracks. I doubt it, but maybe he will. I don't know. Like, what type of deals are you giving away, man?
Well, like I sell salt and pepper shakers, you know, some holiday stuff, you know, things that people collect but probably wouldn't want to pay the fees for on eBay.
Now, can people negotiate with you?
No, I don't really negotiate at the sales, but what I do is when I haul the stuff, like if I do a haul video and then someone says, hey, I'm interested in these, what's your price? And I say, hey, just email me, I'll send you a price, and we negotiate that way.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Everybody check that out. I'm gonna definitely tune in, and I'll definitely help spread the word if you'd like. Put out a post on Instagram on my story or something for you. See if we could get 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the challenges in business. What do you feel are some of the biggest challenges that you deal with when it comes to your reselling business? Things maybe you don't like, things that maybe people who are new don't realize kind of stink about reselling.
Well, I do think that, you know, with social media, there's always these posts of, oh, I found this, I found that. And then I think some people get the wrong idea that they're going to go to their thrift stores and find all this great stuff in one day when it's just, it's not like that. So that kind of, you know, it gets blown out of proportion, like you said, like the news does. But also, I think packing up a lot of orders, like with these live sales, I'm constantly packing things up. So I'm stacking up boxes of things, and then I'm losing space to walk. Like right now, this room that I'm in right now it's full of packed up items that I need to get out to the post office. So that can be a problem if you have very little space.
Yeah, I mean, things aren't always how they seem. You know,
No.
I've been getting into some storage auctions lately. I haven't posted anything on my channel about it yet because it's been like crazy overwhelming. Like I don't know. You ever watch like those storage auction videos where like they go into a storage unit and get all the stuff and sell it? And it's like the most entertaining. I'm like obsessed with it. Well,
are you talking about like Storage Wars or like the YouTube channel? Like the
I
YouTube
watch
channel.
I watch the YouTube channel stuff, and it's like you watch a 30-minute video and like, oh, that's fun. That's easy. But then when you buy a storage unit and you're there and you got 8 hours of stuff to move, you're like, okay, yep, they didn't show that on the video.
Yeah, we used to do them years and years ago before Storage Wars became a thing.
Oh, did you?
We literally would, my dad was buying storage auction or like units all the time. And it was really fun to dig through the stuff to see what we could find. But I'm not going to lie, it definitely did turn into a bit of hoarding because we had our own storage unit as well because we lived in a condo at the time.
Yeah.
We were storing our own things plus the stuff we were selling at the markets and such. So it was bad.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's amazing some of the stuff that you could find in those units.
Oh
And
yeah.
even at thrift stores, even at garage sales, I mean, the stuff that you could find out there, I mean, the stuff you see on YouTube is real. You can find this stuff out there, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of luck involved, and there's also a lot of hard work, and there's also a lot of just being at the right place at the right time. I mean, I'm sure you've had plenty of examples where you're just at the right place at the right time. And, I have a video on my YouTube channel. It's almost unbelievable. I went to a Goodwill thrift store on a Saturday. I wasn't doing well with the garage sales. I went and met up with my mom. I'm not even kidding. She must have found $1,000 of books that day, but that's not the story I want to share. I literally found 40 new in the box Lego boxes
Wow.
unopened, like 3, 4, 5 years discontinued. It sounds like it's complete BS. Just type in Rake and Profit Lego thrift store. It was the craziest thing I ever came across. And the funny thing is, if I would have shown up 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later, maybe 2 minutes later, somebody would have snatched those up because they're all priced like
Yeah.
10, 12 bucks. So, I mean, there's a lot of luck in this game, right? It's just, you've got to be persistent.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, what are your goals for 2022, Vinny? Where do you want to go with this business? If we were to look back over the next year, what do you hope to achieve?
Well, I would like to slowly but gradually get more full time with this after what year is it again? 2022.
Right?
I've been with TJX since I was 19. I'm 26 going on 27 now, and I decided last year that I wanted to shift more of my focus to this reselling game because before, like during the pandemic, when a lot of people weren't allowed to work, long story short, or weren't able to work, I was doing 40 hours plus the reselling, plus the live sales, plus YouTube. And it just got to be a lot. So I said, let me just bring in a little bit of something so that it's guaranteed if I'm not able to do well with the reselling game. So I'm there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday now, and I'm doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday reselling and shipping and live sales and such because it just got to be a lot there.
Yeah, I completely understand. And that's the coolest thing about running a reselling business. You can do it part-time, you can do it full-time. I have a lot of friends of mine who they work a job and do reselling. There's no right or wrong answer. The answer is what's best for you and
Absolutely.
and your comfort level and the risk that you want to take. And for some people, reselling gets lonely at times. I've gone through depressive episodes, anxiety, times of feeling so antisocial, because you're just by yourself all the time, a lot of times in this business. So sometimes it is nice to work a job and be around people.
Yeah, it is. But then after Wednesday, which I call my Friday, it's like, thank God I don't have to deal with customer service anymore this week.
Yep. Kat D says, wow, I missed the Lego video. Yeah, you got to check that out. It's literally probably my craziest find ever. I mean, I must have made $2,000 to $3,000 after selling all those. Justin,
incredible.
Yeah, just luck, man. But hey, I want everybody to know you can go out to your local thrift store and find 40 new sets of Legos right now. Just go. I'm just kidding. Just Inventory says, I literally bought a unit yesterday, and hoarding inventory can always be an issue. I've enjoyed taking valuable stuff with size and weight immediately to a pawn shop to cut down on storing them.
That's a good idea.
I'm sure they don't pay you too much, but that's instant cash in your pocket.
Well, think about it. I don't know if you pay $80 for a unit and there's a bunch of stuff in there. If you do the math, you're not paying very much per item. So whatever you can take.
Yeah.
I say just, whatever gets the stuff out of there. Save the valuable stuff, of course, but for the little things, get rid of them because you didn't pay much per piece.
I haven't been in a pawn shop in a long time. I used to, man, I would travel the whole country just going to pawn shops and flipping stuff on Amazon before there was a lot of, gating and restrictions and things like that. I miss that.
I'm still getting notifications from Amazon saying that, oh, we're removing a restricted item that I sold 3 years ago. I'm like, why are you doing this to me now? I haven't sold it in a while, but I think because it was still in my catalog. But even still, that's ridiculous. I'm like, I miss being able to sell a lot more on Amazon. I mean, I can understand why they probably put more restrictions on things, but at the same time, it's like, really, a nightlight? You're going to restrict me on a nightlight?
Yeah, and I don't know how recent it was, but someone was telling me that they had lost a lawsuit that essentially the courts determined that Amazon would have to take responsibility for specific faulty items or issues. So, I mean, I'm even starting to get restricted on like board games now. This hasn't
Yeah.
happened to me, but they're requiring people to get laboratory tests done on board games to sell it. And it's like, we're just little sellers. We're not going to get laboratory tests done on the plastic inside of the, it's just,
Let me open up a new and sealed game so I can test the plastic for you. Let you know how that goes.
Yeah, but you know, Amazon, the thing about Amazon is they're so big now. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, so just recently I put out a video on TikTok. It went viral. I mean, it got over 1 million views, and I've had literally hundreds of thousands of people hitting me up wanting to sell on Amazon. And like, they can't even get on. Like, it's a whole process. Now, Vinny, if you want to get started on Amazon, you have to do a Zoom call with them to verify your license, all your information. Then they send you a postcard to your house with a code that you then have to put in. And then there's, you know, all the other issues, you know, that the rules that you have to follow as well. But I mean, there's so many scammers and people trying to, you know how it is on these platforms. A couple bad apples come on and ruin everything. So these platforms are becoming very picky. And, you know, Amazon's a target now. Everyone wants to sue Amazon. So it is getting tougher, but I mean, for the resellers who are taking it serious, there's a lot of opportunities because it's not as easy for the average Joe beginner to kind of jump on, you know?
No, definitely not. Thank goodness I started when I did.
Right.
I feel bad for all the newcomers who got to go through all that, but yeah.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap things up, we've covered a lot of stuff here, Vinny. And again, for everyone watching, go follow, subscribe to Vinny on his YouTube channel, and be sure to check out his auction going down Saturday, tomorrow at 6 p.m. I'm going to definitely tune into that, and maybe I'll put a bid in on something. But what final words of wisdom would you give to the people who are watching who, you know, want to grow their business in 2022? What are you going to do to grow your business? What advice would you give? Just one thing.
I think don't give up. You're not going to be successful every day. You're not going to sell 1 million things every day. You just got to keep working at it. Hard work pays off.
I agree. It's the consistency.
Absolutely.
It might not look like you're making much ground or traction over a week or two or a month, but you know, how many years you've been at this?
Almost 11.
And you've built a skill that nobody could ever take away from you.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, appreciate everybody. Vinny, thank you so much for coming on the channel and sharing your experiences and your knowledge. For everybody who was watching, thank you so much for watching live. If you want to show your support, go over to Vinny's channel, give Vinny a subscribe. And if you want to hit the like button, would always appreciate that as well. Leave a comment. Let us know what you learned. But with that being said, Vinny, thank you so much for coming on. Stay warm in these with this blizzard coming, and good luck with your auction, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks so much, everybody. And thanks, Vinny.
Thank you, everyone. It was nice talking to you all.
All right. Nice to talk to you.